Hey TikTok, I'm just on here wondering if anybody's feeling the same way I'm feeling. I'm from Illinois and I feel like the gas prices and the electric bills and the prices of food is just so overwhelming anymore. Like, I'm wondering if anybody else is feeling like they're drowning and they can't get out. I work overtime and I cannot get above water. I mean, I literally have no gas for next week. It was either that or get a few groceries to get by. I hit my local food pantries. I'm just wondering if anybody else feels like they're drowning. But anyway, I hope everybody has a great day.
I'm so sorry I voted for Trump. I didn't know he was going to take away Social Security from 150-year-olds. That he was going to defund trans operas in Colombia. If I had known, I would not have voted for him. So you know how the Trump administration is holding all these press conferences and they're like, we're winning, we're bombing ships, we're threatening to go into another country, we're winning so much. Oh, look, this one brown-skinned person has a horrible track record, we're winning. And then MAGA supporters are like, oh my God, all this winning. They're not winning and they're pissed. So here's what Fox News doesn't want you to know. So companies in the United States are taking a huge hit. Let's just focus on BlackRock, okay? The big American finance giant. They just lost $17 billion. Why did they lose $17 billion? Because a giant Dutch pension fund withdrew their investment in BlackRock. Why? Why did they do that? Because BlackRock de-emphasized climate and social justice initiatives to cater to Trump's agenda. And then this pissed off the Trump administration. Morgan Stanley, another financial giant, just undertook a huge study. They pulled a shit ton of individual investors in U.S. companies, and 80% of them said that they want companies like BlackRock and any other companies they choose to invest in to have climate change initiatives. They believe climate change is real. They're upset at all these companies capitulating to this dumbass administration. They believe in climate change. 80% of them. So they're putting their own pressure on companies, withdrawing money, investing elsewhere in companies that have the balls to stand up to this administration. Trump, their administration is not happy. And then here's a big one. Trump is so pissed off, he even posted about it. A Norway wealth fund worth $2 trillion just sold their stake in Caterpillar. U.S. equipment manufacturer Caterpillar. Yep. Just sold all their shares. Why? Because Israel purchases Caterpillar equipment to undertake the big G word. Yeah, Norway divested in a bunch of Israel banks and investments as well for the same reason. This pissed off MAGA so much that Lindsey Graham just went on a tirade. We're going to put even more tariffs on you, Norway, and we're going to revoke, all of your visas to come here and everything like that. They are piss. Meanwhile, other investors are having this conversation across the board. Fox News is not letting you know about this. They have seen a titanic shift of other countries investing in American markets, meaning they're not. They're pulling out. They're not investing in American companies. The U.S. exceptionalism has been single-handedly destroyed by this administration. And other, especially dictator countries are more than happy to step in and fill the gap. And they are. And these investors, U.S. investors, are saying it's not going to return because European stocks, Hong Kong stocks, all these stocks are soaring and they love it. And now everybody's buying in to other countries' investments and they're completely bypassing the United States. And the final message that investors are passing around to each other is we have no one who's going to help us. We have to save ourselves. That's a lot of winning.
Not where I wanted to be. I haven't succeeded at it.
So we have an almost 25% unemployment rate. There are considerably less open jobs than there are people who need them. The cost of groceries and food all across the board is up about 20%. Americans have the most credit card debt and the most people defaulting on that debt ever in history. People can't afford their housing. They can't afford their car payments. And more importantly, there's virtually no way out of this situation. Unless some weird miracle happens, what is going to happen? We know for a fact that this is going to get worse because the Trump administration essentially attacked the farm community when they did what they're doing to immigrants in this country. There's crops just rotting in the fields. And those farmers, many of them are now just going out of business because they didn't make anything. They didn't make anything this year. They didn't have workers to help them harvest and they just let it die. And I've heard, I'm not a farmer, I've heard that also makes the soil, it poisons the soil or something, so the soil is unusable. I want to say someone said it was for a decade. So we have an incoming food crisis. We already have ground beef. I think it's above $10 a pound or something. It's more than minimum wage in this country. And someone said, what did they do during the Great Depression? Sweetie, they ate tumbleweeds. And that's not an exaggeration. I'm actually reading a book about the Depression right now. I highly recommend it. It's called The Worst Hard Time. I think it's important for us to understand what people have lived through already. And some of what happened was 100% their fault, just for the record. If you read the book, you'll understand why. And there was no money. They were paying people in IOUs, especially in the South. They were paying their teachers in promissory notes. And a lot of them never got paid anything. If there were soup kitchens available, people ate there, but sometimes there just weren't. People had to just leave anything that they did have and hop trains to other places, going anywhere to look for work. And I think if you did find work, you made $4 a month. No, I'm not kidding. I mean, money was different then, right? But literally, people's kids, most of people's kids, a lot of, half their kids died. I mean, it was a horrifying time for 10 million reasons. And I'm sad that more people don't know about history and don't understand that we're breathing down the barrel of the same fucking gun.
Hi guys, welcome back once again to YouTube channel. I'm B-Boy. This clip, I want you to watch this combination of clip whereby farmers, white MAGA farmers, they have really came out in large number and they're really complaining and they are confused. Why do black farmers or black people ain't complaining about the current economy despite things being so hard, despite how life it has really changed in America? They are confused. Why do black people just live their normal life while they are sad due to these hard difficulties times in this current economy? Kindly watch this clip until the end and then I'll be back with more discussion.
The black community has long suffered under the weight of systemic racism and discrimination. As white people, it is our responsibility to use our privilege to support and uplift the black community. Here are a few ways that we can be better allies. Listen and learn. We need to listen to black voices and experiences without interrupting or dismissing them. We should educate ourselves on the history of systemic racism and the ways that it continues to impact the black community today. We should seek out resources, books, and documentaries that help us understand the issues. Next, speak up. We should use our privilege to speak up against racism and discrimination. We should challenge racist comments and behaviors, even if it's uncomfortable. Silence that which perpetuates racism. We should support Black-owned businesses in our communities. We should advocate for policies that support economic justice and equity. Donate to Black-led organizations. Financially support Black-led organizations that are working to address systemic racism and inequality. It can be done through regular contributions or contributing to certain campaigns and initiatives. We should also use our platforms for good as white people. We have access to platforms and audiences that the Black community may not have. We should use our platforms to amplify Black voices and perspectives, raise awareness about issues affecting the Black community, and promote positive change. Be open to feedback and learning from our mistakes, as we will make mistakes along the way. But it's important to acknowledge them, apologize, and learn from them. We should be open to feedback and willing to change our behavior and perspectives as we continue to learn and grow. Being a better ally to the Black community requires a willingness to listen, learn, and take action. It requires us to use our privilege for good, support Black-owned businesses and communities, and speak up against racism and discrimination. It's up to all of us to work towards a more just and equitable society, and being a better ally is an important step. If you like...
This shit needs to be talked about right now, because this is obviously a fucking problem. I ran into an older couple at the grocery store, okay? I started getting in a conversation with this man because he was in the Navy for over 25 years. My father, personally, he was in the Navy for over 30 years. So we obviously had a lot to talk about, you know what I mean? I don't mind talking to random people. I like to get to know people. I love humans in general. But then we get in the conversation of sports, and he starts talking about the NFL coming up, right? And I was just trying to be honest with him when I told him that I like the NBA more than I like the NFL. I told him it seems more exciting nowadays because the NFL, to me, okay, this is my personal opinion, so I am entitled to it. But I said that it seems like it's scripted and that I'd even prefer watching baseball over it. And then all of a sudden, this turns into a racist conversation. He starts talking and he's like, oh, well, you don't like American sports? You'd rather watch those... You know what I mean? Just said the full N-word, full ER and everything. So immediately I was like, sir, I'm gonna need you to stop talking, okay? I'd rather just not have this conversation. I'm not racist, and if you prefer to be that way, then you can just get the fuck out of my way. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you say some shit like that in front of me, I'm going to say something. That is the most disrespectful fucking shit I've ever fucking heard in my life. Bro, do you not realize, people, there are Black people in the NFL too? Like, what the fuck is an American sport? I've never heard that shit in my fucking life. This is one of the main reasons of why I don't prefer to live in the South. I have been all over the country, okay? I had the privilege, like I stated, I am a military brat, so I did have the privilege of traveling all over the country. Shit, I was even born in Spain, which ironically, I was reported to immigration services for. Which if anybody wants to try that shit again, I say go for it, because you could be included in the lawsuit going on right now too. But anyways, I have been all over the country, okay? And I can tell you right now, being in the South, there is so much motherfucking division down here. I'm honestly surprised that in 2025, racism like this still exists. That shit's ignorant as fuck. And nobody, when they hear shit like that, should remain silent. You need to stand your ground. You need to voice your opinion. Who the fuck cares that they're fucking old? Anyways, I just had to vent real quick because that shit really pissed me the fuck off. I don't care who the fuck you are. If you say some shit like that, you need to be corrected. I will never understand that shit. Growing up, part of my family was actually racist, but see, I taught myself how to have how to have respect, how to look past somebody's skin color. Do you motherfuckers not realize that under this physical embodiment of a parasite of which we all call skin, we look the fucking same way anyway?
My husband and I are like beyond this whole racism nightmare that we are living here in the US. Every single problem is being blamed on a Black or brown person. I'm so fucking tired of it. I can't. I grew up in LA, a cultural bounty of beauty. brown, black, white, Asian, beautiful. I'm in East Tennessee. Don't ask how I got here because it's not good. This administration wants to completely get rid of anyone of color. And as a white person, I am disgusted. Disgusted. Sickened. Oh. I don't know when this happened. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how we missed it. How did so many people believe that Trump was going to be their savior? From what? And from what? I guess that's the bigger question. From what? Savior from what? What was so bad? What is wrong with these people? And here now we have so many kind of creeping out from under, the mushroom growing oak that say, oops, I made a mistake. And I'm torn. I'm torn. The compassionate me wants to say, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for finally knowing. And there's a fiery part of me that wants to say, fuck you. You got us here. You with your vote. You with your vote. You got us here.
Man, I tell you what, nothing makes racist white people more pissed off than me, a white person, trying to educate about racism and trying to educate about what white privilege is and all these things. And it's so funny because these same people will argue with me till they are blue in the face about how they're not racist and we don't live in a racist institution and black and brown people have it so easy and racism doesn't exist anymore. But then they will turn around and say the most racist, ignorant, vile shit you've ever heard in your life. The disconnect is amazing. And this is why I make content like this, because it's so important. Because we do live in a racist institution, and we are all raised in racism as white people. This is simply a fact. And the crazy part about it is every one of us knows this. Even the ones who will sit there and fight with me to the death about it and act like it doesn't exist. Y'all know white people are racist. Y'all know about the casual racism, the casual microaggressions that we are raised in, no matter where we live in this United States of America. And this is why I will never stop. I will never stop trying to educate as a white person about racism and how we need to learn. We need to evolve. We need to do better. It's almost as if they feel like admitting to a racist institution or admitting to racism makes them this evil, terrible person. And so they would rather double down than to grow and be a good person. And that's so bad, because all that says to me is that you have a small mind and a cowardly soul. And I wish better for you than that, truly, because everything in your life will get better when you stop being so ignorant.
A sense of safety in my country, an understanding of the full history of America, a neighborhood where everyone feels comfortable and safe, a understanding that my grandchildren and my son-in-law or daughter-in-law will be safe in their home country. The idea that America works for all. These are all statements that have been recited to me and as a part of the Rare Woman Collective work. Rare Woman Collective, that is the racial equity program suite that we have for white women to teach them how to advance racial equity in every space they hold. One of the salient questions we ask of white women is, what has racism stolen from you? It's a powerful question, and it's an important question for you all, for white women, white people, to spend time excavating and interrogating, because one, you're often not asked that. I am certain that you are often not asked, what is racism stolen from you? But it begs the question that you probably haven't ever had to unpack. And the understanding that racism is a foe, it is a belief system, it is a societal construct, it is a belief, it is the protections of that belief that have always, if we're honest, always impacted and had consequences for all people who are around it, near it, experience it, or even adjacent to it, to include white people. Now, the acuity, how it affects black and brown people, is very different, clearly, but it's not as though we're not all unscathed. Racism is like the devil. It comes to seek and kill and destroy. It doesn't pay attention to who's in the way of it. It just knocks down and tears down and destroys and eviscerates. And we see that now, even as policy making is emanating from our nation's capital, from the very institutions that are built to protect us are killing us because of hate, because of fear, because of an understanding or belief system that black and brown are just inherently inferior human beings. And that presumption must be preserved at all costs. And when I say all costs, we are finally learning what all costs means to all people. So I want you to answer that question. What has racism stolen from you?
Do white people pretend not to know and understand, or do they really genuinely believe that they are not complicit and or benefiting from past and present practices of racism? They really can't see it? Growing up as a white person in a hyper-individualistic society that was constructed as a racial caste system, you really have no concept of this idea that you are complicit or benefit from systemic racism. And it's not just socially and politically fortified, it's also deeply ingrained in our education system and in our religious practices and theology. See, I grew up in the 80s and 90s essentially being taught that Martin Luther King Jr. ended racism. And you cannot underestimate the significance of growing up in church and learning that your personal Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, forgave you for your individual sins so that you could go to heaven when you die. So not only is racism dead, but you're only responsible for your individual sins, which are basically disobeying your parents, fighting with your siblings, or swearing on occasion. Nowhere in the framework of growing up white in the United States do we have a conversation about complicity or benefiting from the racial caste system. So when we get older and we start to hear it, that immediate defensiveness kicks in because we feel accused as though we are personally responsible for all of the racism that's happened in the United States. Now, to be clear, this is not to provide excuses for anybody, but I'm confident that the vast majority of white folks that grow up in this country have no concept of the systems that are alive here. And that, among many other reasons, is why it's so important that we deconstruct whiteness and Christianity.
I remember when I had that kind of awakening. I'm not in my 40s. I am a little bit over my mid 30s, but I had that realization and that awakening, I'd say closer to my late 20s, early 30s. You wake up out the matrix, and I call this a spiritual awakening because like you wake up one day and you're like, what am I doing? I'm chasing after this superficial, not real narrative of all these markers of success. All of these markers that's been shoved down our throat, and she's in her 40s, so we're on the same time frame of where this narrative was literally like beaten into us of go to college, get in a relationship, get a house, create a family, work, then retire, and then like you did good, you're a good solid American. The problem with that is that our society no longer has a container for that. So we're chasing after this checklist, we're chasing after these markers to identify ourselves as successful people when they're no longer attainable. So you have people, millennials mainly, in my generation who are losing their crap and have to redefine what happiness and success means to them. And that's all she needs to do. She's woken up, she's gonna feel anger, she's gonna feel sadness, she's gonna feel all of these icky emotions, but she's gonna have to rebuild her story. So if this is you, you are not a failure. Society has failed us. And now it's our job to take back our narrative and create a life that is meaningful to us, that is not measured by external markers, but by internal validation. That's it. You're doing great. They can follow for more.
So I had a lot of white people in my comments asking, what happens if I cry after being called out for a racist remark or microaggression? And what happens if I'm super emotional? So let's get into it. I'd first like to pose a genuine question to white people. Why are you crying after being called out? Take a minute, think about it, pause. Now that you're back, I'm gonna guess that you're crying probably because you're feeling a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, probably a little bit of anger at yourself, maybe some sadness. Yeah, like, am I somewhere on the base? And those are totally valid emotions to have, like 100%. Like, you can have those emotions. It is simply none of our business. As people of color, after you heard us, it is literally none of our business what emotions you're feeling. And you have to work that out on your own. What happens after you commit a microaggression or you make a racist remark? Us as people of color, we're hurt. We're human, so we're hurting and we're in distress. And what we need you to do is to listen to how you harmed us and need you to listen to how we are doing. And you just need to shut up and listen that whole entire time. And what we're not gonna do is center how you're feeling in that moment after you've heard us. And what happens when you start crying is that you are letting us know that you're feeling guilty, sad, angry, any of those emotions, and suddenly you are centering yourself, and this conversation can go no further. Because what happens when you're crying is you're not listening to us. You are feeling your emotions in that moment and you're working them through. And you can do that on your own time, but not while we're actively hurting. We are in distress, and when you are crying, you're not listening to our needs. You're not tending to our needs. You are tending to your own. And you are doing that in front of a person of color, and you are taking up space. And now they have to take time off. We have to take up time off from our hurt to listen to your tears and your crying and your sobbing and your whimpering. And it is pathetic. And it is so harmful because you're letting us know that you feel like your emotions are more important in that moment. I don't care what your thoughts are. I don't care if you're like, no, I care about emotions. No, because once you start crying, you are centering your emotions. You don't care about us. I know a lot of y'all are like, but I get super emotional. I cry over little things. Like, how can I control this? Suck it up. Suck it the fuck up. Trust me, you can. I've had to do it. After microaggression and microaggression and racist remark, I've had to suck it up while I watch white people cry because they feel bad that they've hurt me, but I didn't even get the chance to cry about how hurt I was. It's not okay for you to start crying, because why is your hurt more important than mine? Why do you get to process your hurt after you hurt me? It's not okay. Comments like these make me genuinely concerned because y'all are aware that your white tears are damaged.
So I'm out on patrol and I'm thinking a lot about privilege, and I want to talk to white people about that word and why I don't think it's scary, an insult, or some commentary on who I am as a person. See, white people, we see it through a white lens. We use it to describe one kind of person. Someone born into a life of wealth, ease. They don't have to worry about the basics, went to good schools, have nice houses. So when someone says to us, you're privileged, or use your privilege, it can feel like a judgment, an accusation even, that like you don't work hard, you don't struggle, your life's been easy. But for a person of color, there's not just one factor that makes a person privileged. Privilege is being able to walk around and just exist without needing to be hyper aware and constantly checking to see if you're safe. Being somewhere and not needing to ask, do they see me as a threat? Am I about to be hurt because of that? Women, I know you understand that feeling. Now imagine the threat is coming from everywhere. Privilege is not feeling an undertone of fear every single day. Privilege is being able to tune out the world as it burns down around you because it doesn't actually affect your daily life. Personally, I could tune out, binge terrible TV, do white girl yoga, and mimosa brunch till I die. I have the privilege to do that. These policies don't affect me. So why am I out here? Why am I asking others who look like me to show up and use their privilege and help right now? Because there are people who do not have that privilege. They're cornered and they're scared and they are begging us to help them. They're begging us. Because I do have power as a white woman in America. Even if I didn't do anything to earn that power, I have it and I get to decide how to use it. When someone says to me, use your privilege, I hear that as Katie, use your power. And I choose to use that power, that privilege, to help people. If we just stay at home and do nothing, we are complicit in what's happening and whatever comes next. If we stay silent, if we tune out and pretend it all away, then we have used our privilege to terrorize, kidnap, and ultimately kill people, to take away the basic freedoms that make this America. I mean, even if she's broken, she's ours. I'm using my privilege right now because these policies don't target me. Not yet. Because right now, white women, we have power. We have a voice. It has not been taken from us. It is being taken from them. It is a privilege to be in a position to help people. If speaking up could save someone's life, would you do it? While I'm able, I'm going to use my privilege to help those with less power and less privilege than me. I'm asking you to think about how you will use yours.
I made a video about my father, and I stated, look at a hardworking American man. I never mentioned race. I never mentioned politics. I didn't mention anything other than just what a hardworking American man he was. And yet here we have comments like this from a professional victim. Nobody mentioned race. Please explain to me how my father, who has worked his butt off his entire life for everything he's ever needed and wanted, literally works his butt off. Please tell me how we've benefited from slavery. I'll wait. I mean, I'll be here a while because you're never going to give a correct answer. Because we didn't. We have worked our butts off for everything we have, just as you can. I actually feel sorry for you. Like at first that really irritated me, and I'm not irritated anymore. I feel bad for you. Honestly, I do, because you are so stuck in that mindset that is holding you back from everything. There's two people that have made things hard for you in your life. The first one is you, because you live with that mindset. You are the only person holding yourself back from achieving anything that you want to. The second person holding you back is whoever taught you that you are being held back, or that you're a victim, or that you're not given the same opportunities to go out and work at what you want. Those are the only two people that have ever gotten in your way. Yourself and whoever put that mindset in you that you couldn't achieve everything that you wanted to. Have a good day, sir.
Yeah guys, welcome back once again. I really hope you have watched the full clip and you have seen how white MAGA supporters, especially the white farmers, the MAGA supporters in general, how they're really complaining, how they are so much confused of how black people or black farmers, they are really struggling, or they are able to survive during this harsh economic condition of Trump, during these harsh times of Trump new administration, while they are sad, crying out there of how things they have really changed. The reason why maybe black people they ain't complaining about these things, it's because one thing I really know about my black brothers is that they really want these people about this new administration, but they couldn't listen. Another thing I really know that white people or black people, they have just said that to relax because they have been through this for a very long period of time. So these problems that these people are right now facing, black people that have been there or that have been through that for a very long period of time, and non-black person really came out and complained about the harsh condition. And if any black person really came out and complained about how life it has really been so difficult, a lot of white people really came out and told them and warned them to work very hard and pull out the bootstrap. Now it's their turn, and they are really expecting to be they are really expecting that to also the black people to suffer, but black people, they are living their usual life because one thing they really want these people, but they didn't listen. Another thing is black people, they knew that these people, they're the one who voted for this. Black people knew that these people really voted out of hatred, and most of them really voted out of racism. They didn't want to put a person of different skin color in an office. They didn't want to put another race in the office. And one thing these people really didn't know is that when they were voting, they thought that this new administration will just affect other races, it will affect other Americans but not them. That's one mistake they did. They thought that if they vote for this new administration, it will just affect other people. But right now we have all seen what's really Karma. It has really just returned to them, and this new administration is just affecting everybody that's living in America. If you go to a grocery to buy some food stuff, the same price you'll buy it whether you are Latino, whether you are white, whether you are black. You are just buying those same thing with the same price. So life in America right now, it has been so difficult for those people who are living just currently in America because of this new Trump administration. And a lot of farmers, they really came out and they're really complaining and they're really begging government to bail them out because of this new Trump's new tariff. It has really affected them a lot to a point whereby they can't sell their products, or they can't maybe sell the product to other countries like they usually do, like to China, Brazil, because Trump tariffs really affected them a lot because this country can't buy the food stuff at a very high cost. This is the reason why farmers, they have really come out in large number and they're really crying maybe food stuff will rot in their stores. And another problem these farmers, they're really going through is there's no anyone to harvest the crop in their farms. Their food crops, they're just rotting in their farm because they voted for deportation of immigrants. This new Trump new administration really came out and they were convinced that to vote for deportation of immigrants because they really came out and thought that the immigrants are the one who are taking the jobs of those people who are living in America. The immigrants are the ones who are taking MAGA's jobs, and they were convinced to vote out all the immigrants. But right now, who is suffering? Because these farmers right now, they have lack farm labor. There is no anyone to go and help them to work in their farms. The food crop are rotting in their farms. Another thing, Trump tariff, it has really affected them a lot. And I do remember the last time these people voted for President Donald Trump and put them in an office, almost like 1,000 farmers really lost their farms. And maybe they couldn't see, or they couldn't learn, or they couldn't maybe learn a lesson. Right now, they really went ahead and they voted for Trump again, and right now they are going through a lot. They are losing their farms. Trump tariffs is just affecting them. They are going bankrupt. There is no anyone to go maybe and help them, and right now they are really confused. Why do black people ain't complaining about this new administration? Why do black people live their better life while for them they are sad? Why do black people live their better life while for them they are really crying out every day of how things they have been difficult? Black people, they are used to this. And one thing I really love about black people is whenever they go through a lot, whenever they go through hardship, they usually turn on their God and they pray to God because they really believe and they have very strong they really have very strong faith in their God. This is the one thing I really love about my black fellows. So guys, we really hope things will be better in America. We really hope things will be better, economy will be stable, and maybe those who are suffering, maybe President Donald Trump will look and maybe able to look into their problems and really solve them. So right now we're just praying for those who are living in America to stay safe, also those immigrants to stay safe from ICE agents, because ICE agents, they are really taking all over the country. They are really arresting people, they are detaining people, arresting them and deporting them back to the country. Whenever you are in America, whether you are an immigrant or not, just stay safe and remember to pray to God. And guys, if it was for the first time I come across my video, don't forget to like this video, subscribe and share. Thank you so much for your time. May God bless you whenever you are. One love.